Whoa. Guys, James Gunn dropped an absolute bomb on us today, and all he had to do was post a picture along with 8 words. He simply posted Man of Tomorrow in theaters July 9th, 2027. That's right, he just announced the Superman sequel like a couple months after the first one, which is unheard of in today's world. And we see here an illustration of Superman with Lex in his power suit. Oh my goodness. Even David Cornsweet and Nick Holt posted different versions of pictures to their Instagram, and right off the bat, we can see it seems as though Superman and Lex will probably have to team up in the movie, you know, to take on a greater threat, probably Brainiac, but we shall see. And people online are already speculating that this is going to be like the next step to Lex becoming president. You know, he was disgraced at the end of Superman, but if the public sees him teaming up with Superman to stop an even greater threat, that would probably sway public opinion on him the other way. And although it seems Lex and Superman are teaming up, I don't think it's going to be some like Loki situation where all of a sudden he becomes a lovable hero. I think if Superman or Lex are forced to team up, you know, Lex is going to do all he can to still best Superman and come out on top. But man, guys, I am already so hyped for this movie. It comes out in less than 2 years, which is honestly an alien concept for me now. Like, what do you mean I don't have to wait 4 to 5 years for a sequel? But when I first saw the announcement, I was kind of confused because just a couple weeks ago, Gunn was saying he was writing the follow-up to Superman, but it wasn't a direct sequel. All he pretty much said was Superman is a main character in it, and it's like, what does that mean? That got people worried that, you know, they were gonna go down the old route of jumping straight into a Batman versus Superman movie again because, you know, it worked so well for them last time. But Gunn came out on Threads and clarified that this is the movie he's talking about, so with that in mind, it seems that Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor is probably going to be much more involved in this movie and possibly the lead, but hey, I'm all here for it. Lex was an S-tier hater in the Superman movie. You know, we know how much he hates metahumans, aliens, and we also know he considers himself the smartest man in the world. So if an alien called Brainiac comes a knocking, you know Lex is already going to be a much bigger hater than he already was. And I know the power suit sometimes gets some flack online because, like, honestly, it is more interesting to see a traditional brains versus brawn story, you know, try to see Lex outsmart Superman, and giving him an all-powerful Iron Man suit kind of cheapens that. But I don't know, I kind of enjoy it if it's used properly, you know. It kind of does make sense that the smartest man alive would be like, hey, I physically cannot keep up with these dirty metahumans, so I gotta build a power suit that can. And I hope for the movie's sake, they kind of stay closer to the classic design. I love how it's drawn in these illustrations. I remember in one of the more like adult animated DC films they did, Lex had a power suit that looked like Zola from the Marvel comics, but it was just ugly and I do not want to see that.
All of you!
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
To be honest, I thought we were going to see a version of the super suit in Superman, maybe like a post-credit scene or something, because there was a toy set released for the movie that showed Lex in some type of suit, I don't know, but we never saw it in the movie. So this is coming out in July of 2027, which is 3 months before supposedly the Batman Part 2 comes out, which is insane to me because the first Batman came out in 2022. I'm honestly not holding my breath for the Batman Part 2 to come out on that October date, considering how many times it's been delayed already, but I would actually be shocked if it came out on October 1st. But I just kind of wanted to look at an updated timeline of the projects because we're already so far off course from what James Gunn announced a few years ago. So right now we're in our Peacemaker era, you know, season 2 is out, a couple episodes in already, and I'm loving it so far. Next, we have the Lantern series, which is coming out early 2026. We don't have an exact date for it, but it is the next confirmed thing coming out after Peacemaker. And after Lanterns, we got our next movie, Supergirl, starring Millie Alcock, set to come out June 26, 2026. We, of course, saw her at the end of Superman. She was kind of looking like me on a random Thursday morning. And next up, we have the Clayface movie, which actually just started filming in the UK. This is going to be the first rated R movie in the new DCU, and there's been a lot of speculation on, is this going to merge the Matt Reeves universe with the new DCU? We've seen some behind-the-set photos of newspapers that mention the party drug Bliss that was heavily involved in the Penguin show, but I don't think that's the case. If you remember, originally this Clayface movie was gonna be in the Matt Reeves universe, but then was switched to the DCU. I think a simple explanation for the newspaper headlines is that they made those before it switched to the DCU, and they're like, screw it, we can't afford to print new ones, that'll cost so much in ink. And hey, if it's really an issue, they could just pull like a Morbius situation and CGI the headlines out. Now after Clayface, we could put down the Man of Tomorrow movie. I do have a feeling something will be coming out in between Clayface and Man of Tomorrow, but for right now, this is all that's confirmed. Then comes our first Elseworlds project, which is, like I said earlier, the Batman Part 2, scheduled to release October 1st, 2027. But also, like I said earlier, I wouldn't put too much weight into that date. Now, the only thing confirmed for after Batman Part 2 is that dynamic duo movie that James Gunn announced a while back. It's about like the early days of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, and this is one of the more interesting ones to me because it's supposedly going to be a mix of animation and puppetry, which sounds really cool. I hope they do something really unique with it. But it sounds like not even James Gunn knows if it's going to be set in like the DCU or it's going to be an Elseworld story. Dynamic Duo is scheduled to come out June 30th, 2028. And there we have it, our confirmed DC Entertainment slate for the next couple years. Let me know down in the comments, are you hyped for the Man of Tomorrow movie? And what do you think of the new DCU slate?